Good evening and welcome to Ecisd Live. My name is Scott Muri and I'm the superintendent of Ector County Independent School District, and it's a pleasure to welcome each of you this evening. We have a pretty exciting lineup of folks that are going to join us in just a few minutes, as our main topic tonight is Friday Night Lights. And what more of an important topic could there be in West Texas right now other than Friday Night Lights? So an exciting conversation coming up. But before we engage in that conversation, just want to provide each of you with a few updates from ECISD, some things that are happening in our district. First of all, this week we started phase 4 of our entry program. So school for every student has officially begun, and we welcomed our 11th and 12th graders. So our seniors finally got to come to campus this week. We're excited about that. We welcomed our 8th graders and our 4th and 5th graders. So all of our students who have opted for face-to-face and hybrid are now able to participate in those on-campus experiences. In fact, we're now seeing about 12,000 students a day in that face-to-face experience or the hybrid experience. And again, it's nice to see them on campus. Although campuses are a little different, I was at one of our high schools yesterday and the bell rang, and typically at this particular high school, about 4,000 students would be moving to and fro during that class change, but it was not quite like that. I could easily walk up the stairs, easily maneuver through the hallways, as we just don't have as many kids on campus. And that's a good way to keep our kids and our teachers and staff members safe. So we appreciate the process that all of you have followed to make sure that learning is happening, but also we're keeping our kids and staff members safe. The end of the first grading period is upon us for our middle school and high school students. So I want to remind our moms and dads tonight that you can expect a report card coming home in the next several weeks. So just an awareness that first grading period is about to be complete. And I encourage you as parents to make sure that you see that document, that you understand what's happening, and in some cases what's not happening with your child, and you engage in conversations with your child, and then any conversations with the teachers if you need to get some additional supports to make sure that our kids are doing well. So again, parents, make sure that middle school, high school students, you're aware that grading period is coming to an end. Part of the opportunity that you'll have as parents at the end of every grading period for the remainder of the school year is to make a change in the modality of learning that you've chosen for your child. In fact, our secondary students have that opportunity right now. So moms and dads, if you haven't made a change and you would like to do that, tomorrow is your deadline to either go from virtual to face-to-face or from hybrid to virtual. Whatever choice you would like to make, you now have an opportunity to do that. Those selection forms are available on each school's website. So simply visit the website of the child and you can find that form, submit that form, and then we'll make sure that change happens at the end of the grading period. And we've already seen several families choose to make that choice. And people are going both directions. Some people are going from virtual to face-to-face, while other people are moving from a hybrid environment to a completely virtual environment. And again, you have the freedom to make those choices, and we'll certainly honor those choices at ECISD. Continue to be very pleased with what's happening on our campuses. In particular, in the area of safety. I know that because of COVID-19, we've asked our students and our staff members to wear some very unusual things right now, to behave in certain ways. And I've been incredibly impressed with what our teachers are doing, our administrators, our support staff members, and our kids. And I appreciate that. So thank you for following all the protocols we put in place. We know it's difficult for everybody, but because people are following those protocols, we're able to continue to have school and bring our students back to campus. And we're able to do the Friday Night Lights experience, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But thank you, students and staff members, for really following all the guidelines. I was speaking with a colleague of mine earlier from another state. She is the superintendent of a very large school district in Florida, and she's already had to close 16 schools in her district because of the few COVID-19 cases that they've had. And they have not put all of the protections in place that we have. And so that has forced her to make some very difficult decisions for students in her district. So again, I am grateful that our students and staff members are following all the guidance. And we ask that that continues to happen over the next several months as we have these new rules in place. And finally, tonight, before we jump into I introduce our guests, I want to commend our school district and those leaders and students and parents and staff members that were a part of the task force that put our opening of schools plan back together. We started working on that during the summer and continued that right up until the school started. And we found out yesterday that the Ecisd plan is one of 5 plans around the United States that has been lifted up as a model for other school districts to follow. In fact, our plan has been shared broadly throughout the United States, and quite a few districts are paying attention to that plan and are following the things that we put in place. So again, I lift up the students, the parents, the teachers, the support staff members, the administrators that were a part of that very large team that put that plan together. And congratulations on that national recognition that you're receiving because of the good work that you did to make sure that plan was in place and for the implementation of that plan. So we really appreciate that. All right. We are going to transition right now. I have several guests to introduce tonight, so I'd like to take a moment to do that. And our topic is all about Friday Night Lights. We know that our kids, the talents of our kids and coaches and directors are always on display in Friday night, from football players to cheerleaders to band members to our dancers to our students that work in the press box to the concessions, to a lot of different ways our kids are able to showcase their talents on Friday nights. And it's going to look different this year. And tonight we have a panel of experts who are helping our students and community through this transition so that we can provide a really great experience coming up on a Friday night. So at first, I want to introduce Mr. Bruce Mccrary. Bruce is the executive director of our athletic department. He oversees all athletics in ECISD. So Bruce, welcome to the show tonight. And it's been quite a transition for you, hasn't it, as the athletic director?
Yes, it has. It's been a challenge this year, but a lot of sleepless nights of trying to come up with some solutions to some very difficult problems. But our coaches and our athletic trainers in the district have collaborated, and we've been working, since we went out in March to provide opportunities for our kids. And so we're excited that we'll soon be starting those games and events and looking forward to it.
In fact, Bruce, we started ECISD live events back in the spring, and one of the very first groups of people that we featured was a set of coaches in ECISD. And the reason we did that was because of the amount of outreach that our coaches were doing for their athletes, their musicians, their dancers, their cheerleaders. Just very impressive how they were motivating their kids during that time in which we were all isolated in our homes. So some good work happening.
Yes, sir. It has. The coaches and directors and sponsors of our different student groups have done an incredible job of communicating and connecting with our kids. So it has been a challenge, but it's been good.
Yeah, risen to the occasion. Speaking of coaches, let's move to Odessa High School. Marianne Vasquez, you are the coach of the Bronchettes at Odessa High School. I believe you're also a teacher, a speech teacher at Odessa. Thank you for joining us tonight, Marianne. Tell us a little bit about what life is like for you now in this transition.
Oh my gosh, the girls it's crazy trying to keep them from hugging each other. They want to hug each other, and then, you kiss, and it's just a little crazy, but, we keep the mask on and we practice and do the best that we can.
Yeah, no, good for you. You were not the coach last year, but you're the new coach this year. So congratulations on this new opportunity and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, staying at Odessa High School, I think we have the head football coach of Odessa High School, Danny Cervantes, is joining us tonight. Danny, thanks for being with us. And I know the transition has been incredibly unique for you and your players. Talk a little bit about what that experience has been like, Coach.
Well, it has been unique, to say the least. Just all of the different nuances that go along with having a football team. You know, when you think about football, you think about the physicality of the game. And now to have kids have to stay away from each other, so to speak, is totally different. And so it's like deprogramming someone who you've programmed to be physical, to touch each other, to high five each other, to come together in unity. And now you find yourself at every turn telling them to spread out, to keep 6 feet away from each other. And so it's very different.
Yeah, no, it's good. And quite a transition. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. And finally, the crosstown rival of Permian High School, we are joined by Jeff Whitaker, who's the head band director at Permian High School. And Jeff, you serve a lot of kids. How many kids in the band program at Permian High School?
Right now, we're sitting just at 300.
That's a lot of kids to put in one place.
That's a lot of kids to put in one place. And, you know, bands, we're pretty much known for keeping kids spaced equally apart. And so for us, staying 6 feet apart is great, you know, but then there's challenge like until rehearsal ends and we have to move into the building and then we've got a massive kid. So, you know, we've got to work through new policies and processes of just how do we get in and out of the building safely, you know, and then facts of when you play an instrument, you know, what do you do and how do you make it safe and what is important for us and how do we make it safe is something that we always focus on. Yeah, good. It is. In fact, one of the task force subcommittees, their focus was on transitions. That was the title of the session. Yes. And to your point, you know, just things that we've never had to think about before. You know, line up at the door and we'll walk in together. It looks very different right now. So. Oh yeah, and simple things like, you know, how do we feed a group of kids that large before we head out to Ratliff Stadium for a game? You know, and just new experiences and new challenges that no one has ever faced before, and you're not sure what the right answer is. And so you have to meet with a lot of people, you talk to a lot of colleagues and folks and figure out what is the best option for your kids. But it's been a good, interesting journey. So you obviously didn't have the COVID-19 class in college. No, that was not part of our degree plan. Not part of the program. All right. Good deal. Hey, Bruce, I'm going to come back to you. Our topic tonight is Friday Night Lights. And, you know, as the athletic director, you play a primary role in putting that experience together at Ratliff Stadium. So to our fans tonight, those people, whether you're going to come to a game and support your grandson, or maybe you're coming as a community member, or maybe as a parent, what is the experience going to be like this year for the fans of Friday Night Lights?
It's going to be different. First of all, the stadium has been painted, so the stadium looks different. But there's going to be a lot of signs that you've not seen in the past about social distancing and wearing a mask, self-screening. So there's going to be a lot of signs, but you'll also see people that will have some spray bottles that will be spraying some surfaces that people are touching a lot. Mm-hmm. The seating will be different. This is a UIL event, and so we have to follow the UIL guidelines. Mm-hmm. And so right now, our seating capacity is probably at about 30% on our home side. Mm-hmm. And that's to allow people to social distance and to set up our stadium for social distancing. You'll see on the seats that some seats will have a yellow X on those, and that means don't sit here. Mm-hmm. Other seats won't have the X, and that means sit here. So there will be a lot of differences in the game and in the stadium. But what goes on the field will still be good. Our kids will be able to participate in the activities that they love. And that's really what's important.
Yeah, good. UIL, to use the acronym, some people may be unfamiliar with how we're governed in the state of Texas. Can you explain what the UIL is and what they do in the state of Texas?
The UIL is the University Interscholastic League. And they are the governing body over sports, extracurricular activities for our high schools and in the state. So we follow their guidelines, like colleges follow the NCAA. We are governed by the University Interscholastic League. And so the guidelines that they've put out for our events are the guidelines that we are required to follow.
Yeah. Good. And I not only govern, football, but it's all extracurriculars.
All extracurricular, yes,
That
sir.
we have in the state of Texas. And so some of the requirements of our fans this year are going to be different. I think you mentioned a few of those. So when I, as a fan, walk into the stadium, what are the expectations of me again?
You will be required to have a face covering in order to enter the stadium.
Okay.
The UIL requires everyone to have a face covering in the stadium. That's fans, workers. And so in order to enter, you'll have to have a face covering. We will have face coverings available if someone shows up without one. The booster clubs are also selling face coverings with the school logo on, and they'll have their booster club trailer there as well. But you will be required to have a face covering. There will be signs reminding you to self-screen prior to entering the stadium. Mm-hmm. There will be hand disinfectant, hand sanitizing stations set up. Yep. And then the seating in order for people to social distance.
Good. Okay. So Coach Cervantes, your players on the field, things may look a little different to the fans. Talk about what the game is. Any changes in the football game itself, Coach, or any things that your players are going to have to do or not do this year based upon the UIL safety rules?
Well, absolutely. When they're not active and they're on the sideline, every player has to have a face covering, and it has to be used when they're on the sideline. Some of the rule changes where in the past, your box, so to speak, which is the player's box, where you're allowed during the game, that usually is from the 20 to the 20. Now it has been extended from the 10 to the 10 to allow more distance or more area for social distancing. So, those are some of the changes that we will incur when we show up to play on Friday night.
So just to clarify, kids standing on the sideline, Coach, your players will have to wear a face covering?
Yes, they will.
What about when they're playing the game?
When they're playing the game, what we've done, and our school district has purchased face shields that go on the bottom of the face mask.
Oh, okay.
And it covers the portion where your mouth is. And because I don't know if people know, but when you're playing the game of football, sometimes there's some things that come out of your mouth that shouldn't, and they may get on another person. So we have purchased those so that will not happen. Good.
So an additional layer. Good for you.
Yes.
Let's stay at Odessa High School. So Ms. Vasquez, if you would talk about your ladies and what the differences for them will be. What can we expect to see from them this year?
Well, the differences from last year to this year is, we were able just to chant and do and, link up and do our kick line or whatever it is that we're going to do. And this year we have to wear a face mask. So our group, like all our other groups, have to wear our face masks. So we are trying to look for something nice that matches our uniforms so that when we do that, we can make sure that all the girls are safe and when they're next to each other that they can safely do so. So we'll purchase some red masks that match our uniforms. And then we also keep on hand our handy hand sanitizer so that after they've done those things, that in between everything that we do, we can make sure that they sanitize.
Is that Bronquette's hand sanitizer?
It's the Bronquettes.
Hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer.
Not Bronquettes? Oh, there's your opportunity. Some Bronquettes.
Hand sanitizer. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Good. That's good. What about the distance between the girls? Are they going to have to maintain distance while they're performing this year?
They will. They'll still maintain distance. I mean, normally we're doing these chants and we're normally like arm's length apart anyway. So we have our little bubble going on. Sure. So they normally have some space in between, and we'll just include a little bit more so that they are socially distanced. Yep. And, maybe our voices will carry more. We're learning how to chant louder through the face masks. Yeah.
Interesting. Jeff, 300 kids on the field. It's the end of the second quarter and halftime begins. What is that experience going to look like this year? I have a feeling it'll be a little different.
Yeah, it's going to be quite different. Typically we've done a show where we put on a big production and we have a team that designs that for us that we start in November of each year. And it takes a series of 5-6 months to put our show together. And we got as far as the part of finishing the music, and it was a wonderful show. And over the summer, we realized that that was not going to be able to come to fruition. We weren't going to be able to pull off all the things, with the large props and all the big production that we do where we go to competition. And, that was one of the sacrifices that was tough to make. And it was like, we've got to have band. We've got to do something. This is important, especially in Odessa, Texas. We started the band movement in Texas pretty much here. And so we look at how and what we can do differently. And one of the big changes will be at pregame. We won't be doing any sort of pregame show that we typically do. But what that allows us to do is at halftime, we can convert to what's more of a traditional show. And I think a lot of our fans love that stuff. When we could spell things and do those type of formations that have been done from the beginning of time at Permian High School, that's a part of the history of the school. And we have found a way. We think that we can make that happen. Now, that may not be at our first game, but we're certainly getting ready for the later games. Our biggest challenge is, again, bringing that many kids together at one time. Some have hybrid days, some are remote learners that are able to come to practice, but when practice goes, we're going 3 different directions. And how do we do all those things and bring them all together at once and do it safely? And so we've had to learn a lot of things along the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I fully understand that, challenging. And to be your kids play musical instruments. I was a percussionist, so I didn't have this issue, but a trumpet player, you are blowing your air out into the world. And so how do you keep kids safe when they're playing, a wind instrument?
So that is one of the biggest concerns we have. And number one, we found out when we're outside, it's certainly a lot safer. There's a lot less risk when you're outside, and we can easily distance outside, but our classroom that we use out there becomes a parking lot during school. So during the school day, you can see behind me, Ecisd has blessed us with a great facility here. And we even have yard lines and markers on the floor, and we space those kids 7.5 feet apart, what we call lines and middles. And we stagger them in different formations. And typically in a normal rehearsal, we'll have about 30 or so each period on a Zoom that are logging in as we're teaching the ones that are actually present face-to-face learning that day. We did discover about the first week, one of our groups, we had, let's everybody unmute and play the fight song, and it didn't quite go so well. So we've learned that teaching through Zoom and music simultaneously doesn't work for us too much, but we do know when we're outside, we can do those things. Another thing that we're looking at are bell covers that go over the ends of the instruments so that when we are in public and we are in class, we can at least, sort of like a face mask for the instrument.
Interesting. Yeah. It's fascinating. Again, lots of interesting innovations. I can imagine a face covering on a tuba. It would be interesting for sure.
Yes.
I'll be anxious to see those. That's right. Coach Cervantes, tell me about your players. How are they doing? Especially, I think about our seniors that return to school this weekend. As a senior football player, you have a vision for what your senior year is going to look like. How are your kids doing?
They're really doing well. I say all the time that kids can adapt to anything. Of course, they're creatures of habit. And so we're just learning new habits. And, our motto this year is become, adapt, and overcome. And our kids have done that, and they are doing that. And every day they're learning the new normals that we're having to impart into our workouts or into our practices, the way we gather in the mornings for meetings, all these different things that are new. And they're doing well, though, and very proud of each and every one of them for adapting and not complaining and just doing everything that we've asked them to do up to this point.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. What about you, Ms. Vasquez? How are your ladies doing? What is their reaction? And you also, you're a speech teacher, so you may see a variety of kids in class. How are your kids doing?
They're doing okay. Some of them are a little upset that they're not going to have the typical, walk across the stage, senior type year, have everybody at school, seeing all their friends. So they're a little upset about that. But I tell them it could be worse. We could all be at home, all learning virtually. At least we're getting to come to school and see our friends while we're learning and doing those things. As far as the Bronchettes are concerned, usually we do this big show at the end to kind of show off everything that we've learned and done throughout the year. And we didn't get to have that last year, and it looks like we may not get to do that this year. But what I have told the girls is that we're going to make the best with what we have. And regardless of, COVID-19 and the things that we're having to do, we're going to make this a special year for them. So it's going to be a different special year, but it's going to be special for them. We're going to make those memories in a different way.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Our kids deserve that, whether, seniors or pre-K students, all of our kids deserve to have those opportunities. Jeff, what about you? How are your band kids doing?
I've found that the kids are resilient, much more than the adults, at least myself. I will come in frustrated, at dealing with different challenges, and you look at their faces and they're just gung-ho. They're ready to go. They want this experience. They want it so bad. And it just, drives you personally to give everything you've got to try to give them that experience. One of the groups that I'm particularly fond of right now is our leadership team. We have about 50 students that over the summer, they met through Zoom online, and we talked about what the year was going to look like, what our expectations were, and why we do this stuff. What is our mission as a team? What are we for? And when we got to the end of that, those students were wonderful. Every day I see our student leaders helping our new members. We put everybody on one team. Everybody's on varsity and band, at least in the fall season. And so we've got kids in there that didn't get to finish 8th grade. They never got to go to that UIL contest and get that experience and finish that year and finish their, training. And they came to see us, and, our upperclassmen welcomed them with open arms, said, "We want you here. We're ready for you. We're going to help you get through this stuff." And that's been absolutely uplifting.
Yeah, no, glad to hear that. Hey, Bruce, coming to you. We're introducing something new because Friday Night Lights may not be a face-to-face experience for every fan this year. We're going to be broadcasting that a little differently. You want to talk a little bit about that opportunity?
Yes, sir. CBS 7 is going to broadcast all of the home games except one. The September 25th game is not going to be broadcast. The UIL doesn't allow that particular game across the state to be broadcast, but all of our other games will be broadcast in either on the CW or I believe it's channel 16. The games will also be live streamed on each school's athletic app, the Odessa Broncos athletic app, or the Permian Panther athletic app. And so the production, the TV production that people will see on TV, you can also see it on the app if you're not at home to be able to watch it on TV. So that's going to help. We're going to have limited seating at the stadium, like I talked about, and so you have an opportunity to stay at home and watch the game if you want to.
Yeah, good. So where would I get the app? If I haven't downloaded that yet, where do I go to find out information?
Go to the App Store and type in Permian Panther Athletics or Odessa Broncos Athletics. Okay. And that app will come up and you can download it.
Good. And then I can watch the games live there. Good. All right.
Absolutely.
Good. I want to come back to the three of you and ask about innovations. And so as we've been in this COVID-19 world for, quite a few months now, and you think about your program, have you been able to do anything because of COVID-19 that has actually made your program a little bit better? So you've maybe been forced to do something, but it may be something that you want to continue because it's a new way of doing something that makes your program better. Any of the three of you, Marianne or Danny or Jeff?
Well, I'll speak. I think the Zoom meetings, we were able to start doing those in March, and we're still doing them, and we'll continue doing them. And, I think we can add more kids into a meeting by going Zoom instead of trying to put them in a meeting room. And so some of the challenges that we have as far as meeting room space is concerned, it's solved because, you can put as many kids as you want to on a Zoom call. And I believe that because we've done that since March, our kids are that much further along as far as their knowledge of the game is concerned.
Good. Oh, interesting. Jeff, Marianne, either one of you, something different?
I agree with the Zoom. We got to meet with the girls and we did virtual tryouts, that sort of thing. So it's something we've never done before. So I think that it gave us a lot of opportunity to have more girls try out and really look at them and be able to kind of talk them through what commitment it is to be a part of a team like this. And, the other thing is the face covering makes them be quiet for a little bit. So, we got to work too. So it makes them like zip it for a minute. But, the Zoom's a great thing, just being and smaller classrooms, with the A and the B day and then the remote only kids. It's a little more work for me, but I feel like I can give my kids a little more one-on-one attention when they're here.
Yep. I've heard other teachers echo that same sentiment. The current environment really allows for more individual student time than the prior environment did. So, Jeff, what about you? Anything you want?
Well, I'll second the thing about Zoom, but one of the, we have switched to where every kid has a device now, and that has been tremendously helpful to us and just access to, a lot of our kids didn't have that. And so now we're able to use this Google Classroom. I can upload every piece of music, every part. Our staff is amazing. I am lucky to get to work with the people I work with here, and they've done some tremendous stuff with technology. For example, Dr. Ivan has put together flute videos. And so a kid can go home and it's basically like you're getting a private lesson with someone and specific information here that she's been able to put together and present so that, when you're at home, and at least when I was in high school, I would go home and practice by myself. And, there really wasn't any feedback or anything. And now we have access to, someone there, a teacher guiding you through that process through a video thing. It really, I think, has helped us transition to a new era in teaching. There are certain things we want to keep, and I would believe that's one of them.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's nice to hear. Actually, we'll lift up our board of trustees. Our Ecisd purchased 37,000 devices, brand new devices for our kids. We have 34,000 kids, 37,000 devices. We know that sometimes devices break or need repair, so we have backups for those kids that need them. And so I'll lift up our board and our school system for making that effort. But it's so nice to hear you bring that out, Jeff. I'm glad to see those tools being used by kids. And certainly we need them now because of this environment. Good stuff. Pep rallies. Let's start with Odessa High School. Can we? What are you planning? How are you going to prepare for that first event? And Coach, is your first game on the 24th or 25th of September? I can't remember which night you are.
September 25th.
You're the 25th. So any plans at school to do anything like a pep rally? Y'all talked about that?
I don't think we are, not right now anyway. Mr. Marquez does a great job of trying to do what's best for our kids. And, of course, it's different. I think our football team looks forward to those type of things more than anything. They love the pep rallies and the school spirit that's offered through pep rallies. But in order to do what's best for kids and to keep them safe, I don't think we're going to do that this year.
So, Ms. Vasquez, then how do you develop that sense of pride and excitement? What creative ways might you all be looking at to build some school spirit?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's been really hard to kind of think about. Pep rallies were our main form of really, our performance. Actually, we would perform and cheer. Let everybody see kind of what we learned, what we do, and then we do the chants and things at the football games. So it's been difficult to come up with things that we can do, but again, I'll echo what Coach Cervantes says. Our school, our administration, Mr. Marcus has been really good about, being open to ideas. So what I've been thinking about is maybe we record our performances and then see if we can replay those for our fans. We have a lot of TVs around the school. We have access to the internet, and our kids are all using a device now. So we can still show our what we've learned and the things that we're happy about, and we show school pride through those avenues, as well as trying to, what is the word I'm looking for? To instill that pride in others.
Yeah.
To see that there's more than one way to skin that cat. We can go out and we can do stuff, and we just need to get creative about it.
Good. Jeff, what about at Permian High School? What is the band doing to support the edification of school spirit?
That's tough to do because you can't get everybody in a gym and do a pep rally in the traditional sense. That's just really not an option. One of the things we did at the very beginning of school was our drum line, and you can wear a face mask and play on the drum line, as you referred to earlier, and it definitely gives you some options. And so we did sort of a test pep rally for our faculty at the end of our first day of in-service. The drum line had been working, and we were able to have auditions and play students. And so Mr. Carroll took our drum line to the front of the school, and they made an announcement. So as teachers were leaving, the drum line just played their new cadences, and it gave that feeling of, okay, yeah, this does feel like Permian High School here. This does have that sense of school spirit, and it's always having to innovate and recreate something. And it may not look the same, and we look different, because we're wearing face masks and stuff, but you can definitely feel that energy. Yeah,
well, that's good. I think, what's most important is that we're doing everything we can to keep our kids and staff members safe. And really all of you have talked about that tonight. And sometimes the things that we have done in the past simply we cannot do because they're not safe for our kids. And we may not be able to put pieces in place that will keep kids safe. So we eliminate the old and maybe create some new opportunities to celebrate our kids and our staff members. And so I applaud you for your creativity in doing things like that. Bruce, let's come to you. Concessions at Friday Night Lights. I remember the concession stand, and people are stuck like glue during halftime to find a hot dog or a Coke. What might the concession experience look like this year at Ratliff Stadium?
The workers will look different because they'll all be wearing masks, but there won't be any. Everything will be covered. In other words, there won't be any open container food or anything like that. But we recently met with the health department. They came out and reviewed our processes at the concession stand. The Lions Club oversees the concessions there. They've been doing that for actually over 50 years.
Yeah.
And so they will be still selling. All three stands will be open on each side so people can spread out. They will be disinfecting the handrails and everything in front of the concession stand, and we'll have some things on the ground to remind people to keep spread out. And then we'll be making some announcements to encourage people to don't wait till halftime, beat the crowd, go to the concession stand now.
Yeah.
So I think, but our crowds will be smaller too because we're only going to have about 30% attendance on the home side. So I think everything is going to balance out.
Good. Yep. Well, so if the home side fills up, will people be allowed to go to the visitor side? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
We will start selling tickets on Tuesday the 22nd at 7:00 in the morning at the downtown ticket office. Mm-hmm. And that will be for the current season ticket holders and parents of participants at the game. And then tickets will also be sold on the visitor side the day of the game. The visiting team will have an allotment, and if they don't sell their allotment by a certain date, then we will sell those at the ticket office at the stadium on game day on the east side. So, we want to get as many people as we can in there, but we also have to follow the guidelines that the UIL has set.
Yep.
And that's why we worked with the TV station to provide the games live on TV because we knew we were going to have some limitation.
Yep.
But the important thing is to provide opportunities for our kids. It's really important these kids get to do it. So sometimes the adults have to make the sacrifice in order for the students to be able to do what they want to do.
So with that comment that you made, Bruce, I want to go to our three coaches and directors and ask you that question. You know, we're a school district and we're about reading, writing, and arithmetic. You know, the academic work that we do is important to our students and their future. But right now, you know, we're not talking about reading and writing and arithmetic tonight. We're talking about Friday Night Lights. Why is what you do important in the lives of our kids? Ms. Vasquez, why are Bronchettes important? Why is your program important?
I think that any program, not just the Bronchettes, but it provides you with a sense of the socialism, the getting together, forming those lifelong bonds that, you know, you make friends and you go to college, you go off, and, you know, you make those friendships, those lasting friendships from what you get from band or football or somewhere else, Bronchettes, you know, the showgirls, the cheerleaders. You make those memories with those people, and sometimes it's the thing that gets you up in the morning. It's the thing that says, you know what, I'm going to go to school because I can't let my team down. I can't let them down. They need me. I'm a part of that. So I think it's really important because those are the things that get our kids up in the morning. Sometimes that's their joy for the day. You know, is being a part of that team, being able to see those friends and connect with them because they understand, you know, what they're going through. They're tired. They got homework. They have all this stuff, and it's someone that understands.
Jeff, you serve 300 kids. Why is it important? Why is band?
Well, you know, being a part of something that's larger than yourself and being not just a member, but contributing to it, making it better and showing up day after day and realizing that, hey, this is not going to be instant. There's no instant gratification here. We talk about delayed gratification to those goals and stuff. And, you know, one of the things we talk about a lot is academics. You know, you've got to be eligible to be a part of our program and stuff. And don't let your teammates down because that's just as important as this. And what I hope at the end of this journey with us here is that you are enabled and encouraged to whatever it is you want to do in your life, that you can go for it and become whoever it is you want to be and have that endurance and realize when you hit those struggles, yeah, that's a part of life. And you can overcome those things, you know, especially if you have a team around you. And so it's just, you know, part of those life lessons. And, you know, I just get to do it through music too. And, you know, I'm just passionate about music as well. And so those two things are what drive us and keep us going and why it's important.
Coach Cervantes, I've heard you. You have a booming voice, and I've been around and I've heard you motivate your players. Why is football important to your kids?
Well, you know, I think football or any athletic team, it's really the best at-risk program in the world, I think. A lot of times kids don't really want to attend school. And if it wasn't for athletics or extracurriculars, they wouldn't do that. So it plays a very important role, I think, in education because like Mr. Whitaker said, you belong to something bigger than yourself. And, you know, with doing that, it gives you confidence, and it gives you confidence to do things that you wouldn't otherwise think that you could do. So, you know, athletics, I feel like, you know, has really played that important role in my life as well. You know, being an adolescent or a youth, you know, I was one of those kids that was bigger than some of the other kids, and it took some time for me to grow into my body. And playing athletics was the one thing that gave me confidence to try different things. And so I think that same thing happens with a lot of kids these days.
Good. All right. I want to take a moment to thank all four of you for joining us tonight. You know, Friday Night Lights is a West Texas tradition. And actually, when I was in Florida and Georgia, North Carolina, we used Friday Night Lights too. But this is the home. And so, the gift that this part of Texas has given to the United States, I think, is pretty powerful. And you all summed it up tonight. This is about the students that we serve and the family in which they belong to. And many of our kids, because they're involved in the Bronchettes or the band or a football program or an extracurricular activity in general, that is their hook, and they give and are a part of something that is very meaningful to them and keeps them, it gets them up in the morning, like you said, and helps them become successful, not only today, but successful tomorrow and in the future. So thank the four of you for joining us tonight and sharing your words of wisdom. And we look forward to seeing you not only every day at school, but also Friday night at Ratliff Stadium. Again, thank you all. And for all of you that joined us tonight, thank you, moms and dads and Ecisd employees. We appreciate you joining us each Thursday evening. My name is Scott Muri. I'm the superintendent of Ecisd, and we'll see you next week.